Hello. I flew from the West Coast, so I'm feeling very energized to be here with you today. So hello. Okay, great. I'm so excited to be here. I have been to Varna and to Burgas many times. If you'd like to hear more about how I hitchhiked from Istanbul to Burgas, I will tell you that story sometime. But this is my first time in Sofia, and I'm so excited to be here today, and I want to thank Forbes for the kind invitation for me to talk about one of my favorite topics in the world, and to talk about this within the context of innovation and technology. I've been so fixated on the topic of where innovation, technology, the startup ecosystem all intersects that I even wrote a book about it. And I'm not here to pitch my book. I'm here to pitch the stories that are in the book. I interviewed a number of senior leaders from business, from academia, from community. I interviewed a 13-year-old boy whose whole bar mitzvah was about the relevance of ESG and sustainability to his community. And so I'm very excited to talk to you today about sustainability innovation at the speed of light, and literally at the speed of light. But first, let me share with you a little bit about at my company, NTT, where I'm currently a global vice president in new ventures and innovation. There's a lot of information here. I'm happy to share the slides afterwards, but I wanted to make sure that you were aware of the full breadth of what NTT does. We are number 56 on the Forbes 2000 global list. We do about $75 billion a year in revenue. And NTT is a technology services company, solutions company all around the world. We have about 300,000 plus employees, with about 180,000 of them overseas. And what we do is we do everything from digital infrastructure. We're number 3 in data centers. We do a lot of the digital plumbing, not the official term. Please don't take that as what we say at NTT, but we enable a lot of the connectivity and the solutions and the applications development for this hyper-digitalized community that we're in business, in government, and in your everyday. And for us, ESG is not just corporate social responsibility. ESG is a fundamental part of how we deliver and we're stewards to the businesses that we serve in private and public sector. The way that we break this out in the triple bottom line that some of you might have heard of people, planet, and profits, for us it is prosperity positive. So how do we advance our technology solutions in a way that's going to yield prosperous societies and communities and businesses? Planet positive has everything to do with how do we do this in a way that is sustainable in the long run? And third is people positive. So as head of sustainability for the Americas region, and my role is shifting, I will tell you more when the time comes, but as leading sustainability for the Americas, it was my responsibility for engaging our people. So to be authentic in the pursuit of ESG, and the way that that's going to actually serve, you need to have from the top down, from the leadership down, that's going to set certain goals about net zero and carbon positive, but you also need to be able to engage and excite the people in your organizations. So for the leaders here today, it's imperative that you lead by example. It's imperative that you volunteer in your communities, find something that you're passionate about, and devote time to it, because the people that are in your organizations will follow. And so for us, the idea of ESG isn't just something that we do as a large technology solutions and managed services company. It's also how we think about the role that technology is going to play in achieving sustainability outcomes. So how many have you used ChatGPT? At least once this week. Okay, yes, thank you. So have you thought when you were typing your query about the parameter and the training model that's behind all that and the amount of energy that's consumed? Have you thought about it? Maybe, yes, everyone's. Yeah, it's not good to think about it too much, because then you feel too guilty, because it does consume a tremendous amount of energy. And so that's one of the criticisms that technology services providers are thinking about, especially for us, we run data centers. And you probably have seen the dramatic rise in data center and the energy consumption that AI and technology and digitalization is going to require. So for us, We need to think about IT and technology that's sustainable by design, but also the ways that how technology and consulting is going to lead to embedding technology in a way that's going to achieve sustainable outcomes. So you've all seen this. Okay, maybe this slide is maybe a year old because we don't use the term metaverse anymore, but I'll say digital twin. That's still cool. So everything from smart robotics, private 5G networks, green tech, LLM, the whole span, we at NTT deliver these solutions, and we have to think about how we do this in a way that is going to adhere to your ESG goals and also help you get to new breakthroughs, because that's what's going to be important. So we live and breathe this. We spend about $3.6 billion. I don't know how that translates into love, but it's a lot of money. We spend that in R&D. And what we are yielding with the R&D is some experiments to prove breakthroughs, to prove how we can make photosynthesis happen in an artificial fashion, how we can prove the role that the ocean plays and blue economy plays in being able to capture carbon. We're proving the way that technology is a friend, an advocate, and a critical catalyst to achieve new kinds of sustainability outcomes. And I had 15 minutes today. I'm German and Japanese, by the way, so when the conference organizers told me, you only have 15 minutes, I'm taking it very seriously. I'm going to be on time. But what I did want to do was share with you something at the speed of light. And this is the bracket that you see up there around ION. ION stands for Innovative Optical and Wireless Network. And what I would like to talk to you about today is that perhaps one of the ways that we're going to shift into a mindset and a capability of using breakthrough and innovative technologies is moving from electronics to photonics. I know, it sounds very scientific, and for those of you who are in quantum computing, it's all about using particle physics in an entirely new way. So let me tell you a little bit more about ION and what we're doing at NTT, and we're creating a global forum. We're creating a partnership with over 100 partners and growing of how we're going to bring the entire ecosystem to shift from an electronic architecture to photonic. And photonic is a particle of light, and hence the speed of light. The applications that we're all using, and some of the applications that some of you haven't even used yet, is going to demand a great amount of data, great amount of processing, and we're already seeing this with the concerns around generative AI and the ways that this is going to require things to move faster and for compute systems to accelerate. And all of these is going to drive this massive consumption that I referred to earlier as it relates to, that pause was dramatic on purpose, 16 times more data volume by 2030 and a commensurate power consumption that is astronomical. Now, one of the social aspects of ESG that I know some of you have been across is about how do we take the world with us? How do we close the digital divide? And one of the concerns that is happening is that those countries that have the grid infrastructure to support the energy are the ones that are going to be able to leverage the benefits of AI. What happens to the rest of the world? And so those are some of the concerns, let alone the cost of energy. And at NTT, we are a global company, so I am very much across how expensive energy is today and the impact that that's having on business. So why photonics? Well, the physics of photonics demonstrates that the amount of energy that you need to do optical connection is a fraction of electrical. I'll let that sit with you for a while. At the same time, using photonic speed of light connectivity is not just lower power consumption, it's lower latency, and it's higher capacity of data pull-through. And we are doing this across the entire ecosystem, which is why I appeal to many of you, hopefully all of you, to engage in thinking about how this is going to impact your very business, whether you're a technology service provider or not, because you are using digitalization, you are using AI, You are using a lot of these systems. And the paradigm shift that we are ambitiously pursuing is about not just doing optical networking between data centers and networks. We are working with NVIDIA and Broadcom and Intel. By the way, I'm a former NVIDIA. I was at NVIDIA between 2006 and 2010. And it's really painful for me to say the word NVIDIA because I sold all my stock when I left in 2010. Yeah, I know, thank you. But you know, back in 2010, people didn't even know how to spell NVIDIA, let alone pronounce it. So anyway, but you know, money isn't everything, and I wouldn't be here with you today if I had made $90 million from holding onto my stock. Okay, so we are working with all of these guys, and I'm very familiar with the compute aspect, thanks to my 4 years at NVIDIA. Those are the riches I took away. And we are embedding photonic connectivity at the chip level. We are moving from electron to photon at the chip level. Now, that's not going to happen overnight, and it's not going to quite happen at the speed of light. But our intent is for that to happen in time, for us to be able to harness a future where there's going to be massive amounts of energy consumed, but we can have it more democratized, accessible, and shifting to something that's going to be lower power consumption to enable our compute needs. And so the first initiative that we're embarking on, because all of this sounds very lab and scientific, like how does this really happen, or science fiction. And of course, by the way, fiber optics is not new. Fiber optic connectivity, and we are one of the submarinal connectors, NTT, is that connects countries. So fiber optics isn't new, but it's the deployment of this that's new. So innovation, we tend to think innovation being something that's about technology, but also the process by which you deploy processes is also innovation, as well as partnerships and collaboration, which is why I'm presuming all of you here today coming from very different backgrounds to collaborate. So for us, we are demonstrating the ability to now starting to distribute data centers, because data centers, for any of you that have passed by them or seen them from a plane, which is much more likely because you're like, what is that huge, massive building that is in the middle of nowhere? This starts to create some challenges because the distance does create latency in the connectivity. So with IOWN, with innovative optical and wireless networks, we are now making real the possibility of creating micro data centers that can offload the compute needs in a different way. And we call it hybrid sovereign computing. The ability to manage your data, which is another key concern, whether you're a startup, whether you're an investor, whether you're a large organization, cybersecurity is key because there's so much more data, and hence why AI is so important, because I personally believe that AI will help us figure out how to parse through data in a relevant way that is going to achieve sustainability outcomes. And so we're starting with connecting distributed compute nodes of data center technologies, and then we're going to be accelerating forward in the next decade down to the chip level. So we're making this very real, we're making this happen, and if you'd like to learn more, please come to me. I won't have the answers, but I will make sure I point you to the people that have the answers at NTT. And so when I was at the Bridge in Varna last year, and I spoke about this concept of organic intelligence, and that's where I met Inaya, Dimana, and some of the other folks, it was a tremendous opportunity to think about a response to everybody's obsession with artificial intelligence, because artificial intelligence isn't artificial. If you think about everything that makes up AI, it all comes from the earth, it comes from resources, it comes from humans. And so I challenged the community back then a year ago about, well, how do we think about organic intelligence? In other words, how do we use nature and things that are in physics in the world around us that demonstrates how to be more efficient, how to be more prosperous in a way that isn't just about pure productivity and things. And so if we think about where our human existence here on Earth, and we've entered what's called an Anthropocene, so in ESG and sustainability, you'll probably hear more and more about how we're diving headlong into an Anthropocene, which is where humans are materially impacting the Earth. The question is, well, how do we get ourselves out of that? And I was challenged last week with somebody who said, well, who's to say that we should get ourselves out of that? Because humans are always going to be a part of the ecological and epoch that we're moving forward. And I said, yes, we are. But photonics is physics. It's a fundamental way that energy and connectivity and information transfers, in the same way that photosynthesis. So if we as humans have created the compute ecosystem and the digital infrastructure that is now consuming every part of our daily lives, is there a way for us to be able to take the lessons that we learned from going from electronic to photonic and using nature's or organic intelligence as a response to artificial intelligence and really bringing everything together in a different way? So that's the innovation I wanted to leave you with today, is to think about things a little bit differently through the example that I've given you about ION and how ION is an example of where NTT are going to be stewards to do that. And I'm on the board of BIH, Bulgarian Innovation Hub, run by Pavlina Yankieva, which I think many of you know. And we're proudly supported by the Foundation for America for Bulgaria, Nancy Schiller. And having been on the board of BIH, I see the tremendous amount of energy and innovation and creativity that exists not just within the broader global Bulgarian community and how you engage in the ecosystem, but it also gave me the ways to get back to Varna and Burgas and the hitchhiking. And I'm just really excited for what this kind of forum is going to yield, for how ESG becomes something that activates a whole different way that we are going to be able to move into the future together. And that, with that, I encourage you to please pursue sustainable innovation, if possible, at the speed of light. And please reach out to me. It's my email, my LinkedIn, and blagodariati.